Sometimes there's a weird disconnect when you're making a film between how much effort and time and love you put into it versus what the audience is going to get out of it. So I want to talk about this film, Blindfold, that I just finished. I first started working on it in October 2015. It is now July 2017, so I think that makes it, no, it's August 2017. Wow. So it's almost been 2 years that I've been working on this thing, and it's finally finished, it's out, it's in the world. I'm hoping that I never ever touch it again, but I keep tweaking little things even a few days after it was put on Vimeo.
The voice answers.
So in about October 2015, I saw a music video by an artist who I never really considered to be a great visionary. He's somebody that's been around since the 70s, and I listened to his music, I liked his music, but whatever, that was just it. And then I saw this music video, and it blew my mind that somebody now in their, at that point, late 60s, could do something so visually incredible and was that open to doing something that crazy. And I thought, I want to do something that cool, that weird. But clearly this thing cost millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars. It was just a crazy epic video. For the most part, it wasn't just that there were a lot of visual effects in it, it was locations. It was temples, it was other planets, all sorts of things. So I happened to be making a title sequence for the South Asian Film Festival, Filmy. I was using all green screen on that because I didn't have much time or organization. It was fun because it was the first time I'd used green screen in probably 10 years in a significant way. I'd used it at work on small projects, but when I first started out, living in the suburbs in the middle of nowhere with very few contacts, really no friends or anybody to help me with this stuff, I would just have like a 6x6 green screen that I used to do stuff in front of, and that was like how I made movies. They were awful, but it's what I had. So now fast forward many years later, and I'm a little better at compositing and have a bit more resources because at the studio we used to have before this place, we had quite a bit of space, but all we had was cloth green screens, 10 by 12 green screens. We had actually a couple of them because they ended up just being thrown in with different lighting sets that we had. So I could make like a 20 by 10 foot green screen, but there was always a seam in the middle. So if you wanted an actor to go more than 4 or 5 steps, they would be onto the second green screen or off the green screen, and it would make compositing a nightmare. Anyways, this is the equipment I had at the time, and I decided, you know, I want to make something as cool as this artist's music video. Let's try to do it with green screen. Based on like the intro for filming that I did, I was confident that I could make something cool because some of the composites in that turned out a lot better. I mean, I was using stock footage of an eel and it came out looking like a monster, so I was pretty confident in what I could pull off. So while I knew I was going to be shooting this whole thing on green screen, I had to somehow find the scenery that I was going to put in. And I mean, in Canada, you don't really have many options. You're in a place like Toronto, yeah, there's some ruins in small towns, but those things are 100 years old. They're old sawmills or something of that nature. There's nothing truly ancient in Canada, anywhere in North America. So what do? I went on iStock and I thought, you know, if I'm going to be finishing this thing in HD, so 1920 by 1080, can I find stock photos that are way higher resolution than that? Things that are 5,000 pixels wide. That would give me room to zoom in if I needed to put characters in the specific part of the scene. It would let me pan across the scene. So I found a lot of photos of a place called the Red Fort in India, and I decided, you know, there's a lot of great shots here from different angles of different rooms. I'm going to use that as the interiors, but from the exterior, it didn't really work. So I found this place, the Fort Belém in Portugal, I believe, and it was interesting from the outside, so I thought, you know, I'll try this on the outside. And I think definitely they have very different architectural styles, but I don't think the audience is really thinking about that. They're just paying attention to whatever is happening with this meteor and the stuff happening. One thing that I thought was very helpful is that many years ago I bought the Actions Essentials 4K pack from Andrew Kramer's website, Video Copilot. I was using the fire elements a lot on the meteor, which actually came way late into the game, but the fog elements, just to give some kind of life, because you have a still image and you're panning across it maybe to give it some movement, but to give it actual, like, the breath of life, you needed something more. And I found the fog elements were great to just overlay them, change them to screen mode or something of that nature, just so you'd see little wisps of something in the background. Helped a lot. I would layer elements as much as possible and bring in a 3D camera and After Effects just to sort of get like that parallax effect. The weird thing about making something that took this much time for this short a film is that no one will ever understand how much time and effort you put into it. And there were many times I thought, why am I even bothering with this? No one's going to really watch it in the end. I don't know, maybe that's half the fun, is that I did this in part to just test my own skills out. And I felt like I had to finish it because I brought other people into this and I said I would do it, and I hate not finishing a project that I've started. Only once in my life did something not come together at all, and it still haunts me. So my first initial tests were done with elements I had shot for the filmy intro. So it was either soldiers with guns moving through space, and it was enough to prove the concept to the actor and to just give me the belief that I could actually pull this off and that I can make something interesting. So fast forward a couple of weeks, and I've posted looking for models and actors to take part in this, and I get a response from Sin, and she had a very interesting way of moving, of talking, and I thought, you know, I've never seen like a female dictator kind of character before. What would that look like? What could we do makeup-wise? So I brought my friend Britt into the makeup, and she did this cool sort of stripe across the eyes. So this was element 1, and we shot that in probably November or December of 2015. Everything looked cool, and I had a very specific story of where that was going. And I knew, oh, I'm going to get a male model to do the second part, which is this character who's sitting in a prison as this other storyline is going on. Thing about shooting around Christmas is that good luck trying to get people to show up any time around Christmas. It feels like from December 1st till January 30th, everybody, it just becomes like, you just can't expect people to show up. I had talked to 2 or 3 models in that time period. They all just vanished and dropped out. And now it's like February, I'm trying to find somebody else, and I'm moving on to other things, because it's frustrating at this point. Once 2 or 3 people cancel on the same role, it's just frustrating. So I moved on. I mean, it was in the back of my mind. I had worked on a lot of the compositing. But what are you going to do, right? You've got 1/2 of what you need. Months later, somebody asked me, I think it was my brother, if I was going to finish that thing and if I could maybe think of another way to do it. So he suggested that I use my nephew instead of a large, muscular male model. And I thought, why not? My nephew's got an interesting look. He's got long hair. I'd used him in these cookie commercials I had done, and he was really, really great in those. So why not try something new? So I went about ordering him some Aladdin pants and a little costume he could wear, and rubbed some ashes on his face, and we shot some other elements. And again, it was on this little green screen, so as much as a child trusts you, when you put a blindfold on them and tell them to run in a studio, they're not going to run very well. It took him many tries to do some of those scenes because he was just terrified of running into things, and it was like a trust exercise. I had to be like, I promise I will not let you run into anything and die. Shot with my nephew in January of 2017. It's now July. What have I been doing since then? Just compositing and making new scenes and figuring out ways to make the story a little more narrative while still maintaining that weird, experimental, not so narrative nature of it. Felt like as the film was going on, the plot was changing quite a bit. What have I learned about green screen stuff in the meantime? That shooting on a nice, clean green screen like this, we've actually got a carpet now so we can use as the floor. So much better than using a sheet of any kind. I don't care if you have a 50-foot cloth, it's just a pain. It's so awful. You'll always have little wrinkles and things like that, versus this thing. You light this well, and it's perfect. You're always going to get a perfect key. With the cloth, you never know what you're going to get. If you've got a small place to shoot and you can't really afford to have a whole wall painted green, it's worth getting the paper backdrop, I think, or a vinyl. Like this floor stuff is vinyl. It is a little more expensive than the cloth, but without the wrinkles, you're saving so much time and so much effort in the compositing. It's really just like a click with the vinyl or the wall versus just little fudging and fidging when it comes to the cloth. Would I do it all over again? Yeah, because how else am I going to get to shoot in some faraway ancient location? I still, if you could see out this window here right now, I'm in an industrial wasteland next to an airport, so you're never going to find anything cool to shoot here. Would I want to make an entire feature film on green screen? Yes. But it would be hell. It would probably take me 27 years to finish. In conclusion, follow your dreams. And if your dream is stupid and takes 2 years to make a 3-minute short film that nobody's going to care about, that's all right. it's better than you could have just been going out and drinking beer. And in the end, the guy who went out and drank beer all the time is going to have a bad liver. You're going to have a 3-minute short film that no one wants to watch. I think you're winning. That was my motivational speech.